David Levy is the world's hottest young inventor. His simple gadgets solve problems which plague us all the time, like having your bike seat stolen. It happens to thousands every day, but David's saddle is secure. All it takes to stop a thief on the street is a simple wedge and anchor. When the bike's standing upright like this, you can adjust the height of the seat, but you can't actually pull it out because the wedge has become lodged in the anchor. What happens, though, if you turn the bike on its front wheel like this, is that the teeth catch, and voila. And if that doesn't place the world in the palm of his hand, then this certainly should. The world's smallest computer keyboard.
What I did was take each key, each individual key where the A is, and make it about a fourth the size of a regular key, and then use them in concert. So you have all four keys used at the same time.
Right.
And since you're reusing space for the B and the F key, for example, on the 1 and the 2, the whole keyboard is half the size.
This ingenious use of space won David the prestigious Lemelson Prize, presented each year to a promising young inventor. It makes sense. Technology is shrinking electronics, but our hands are still the same size.
I think this is the limit. I did a lot of thinking about how to make it as small as I can, and I believe this is it.
Now, this next invention of David's is particularly dear to me, because I don't know if it's happened to you, but you know, you put your Walkman on, and somehow the volume control has been bumped. So just as you're sitting back peacefully, ready to enjoy the music, whoa! The volume just about blows your head off. Well, David's come up with an ergonomic thumb wheel, so you can actually feel how loud your Walkman is. Toy football. Nothing's that simple with David. It's a football with a television remote control inside. Good idea, huh? Why?
Why? Because people are always asking to pass the remote, and I just thought I'd take it to the extreme.
Yeah, that's all very well, but how's this going to change our lives?
Don't have to be serious all the time.
David's flair seems to lie in his ability to spot a problem.
Once he found the problem, the answer is sort of obvious.
Take the ubiquitous hand truck. Now, how many people over the decades have struggled down stairwells with a heavy load? David did it only once and came up with an absorbing answer. Okay, Dave, how's this supposed to work?
I just took a regular dolly and put a hydraulic piston on it with a spring return, and then a foot down here at the bottom that catches the top step and moves in an arc and allows it to fall at a controlled rate.
Okay, so it should be nice, smooth, even ride. Is that right?
That's right. That's the idea.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I want to, but I'm going to, so when you're ready.
All right.
Have you done this before?
No, actually. I just finished this last night. This is the maiden voyage. It's still just a prototype.
Oh, good.
There's a tremendous amount of hard work that goes into actually taking an idea and making it real. And that's all the design and the redesign and the redesign and the redesign.
Well, I don't spend a lot of time on these, but I'm sure if I had to travel this way, this would be the one I would choose. Yeah.
I think it needs a little tweaking, but it'll be there. It'll be there.
And just in case you've forgotten, let's check the performance of an unmodified version.
I enjoy this. I enjoy being aware of the problems and finding things. Going where no one has gone before is part of it. Just the idea of coming up with an idea that no one has thought of is fun.
One invention was purely personal, a cast on casters to combat RSI.
And I couldn't write anymore. I couldn't hold the pen. I couldn't study. And if I couldn't study, I wouldn't pass the quals, and I wouldn't get my PhD. And I needed to do this. So I took time out from studying. I went into the lab. And I made that. And I came back, and then I could study again.
David Levy, an ordinary guy with an extraordinary view of the world. He sees solutions where most of us see only problems.
The world has never changed. There was as many things to invent 1,000 years ago as there will be 1,000 years from now. I'm just one little, one step, and there will be much better things than anything I come up with in the future.
Ever since the telephone was invented, electric words and messages have been crossing the globe through air and space. But while your telephone call can travel from one continent to another at the speed of light, moving that message from the telephone to your ear is still no more advanced than it was in 1875.
Okay. All right, I'll see you then. Bye.
And 120 years later, we're still coming to grips with the idea of hands-free telecommunications. Well, this is the newest solution. It's called a Jabra earphone, and it combines an earphone and a microphone in the one unit. Building a microphone onto the back of an earphone without creating a feedback loop is no small feat. Indeed, it's almost impossible. But Jabra have used their soft earpiece to funnel sound into your ear, guarding the mic from feedback. One of the first groups to use the Jabra earphone was the United States Secret Service. Despite their elite status, even the president's protectors were forced to take communications by the hand until recently.
Hi, Glenn. How are you?
Now the Jabra earphone is available to all of us. It's discreet and comfortable. And those of us that like to talk with our hands will finally be hands-free. After the break, Caroline discovers the ups and downs of survival in space.
Well, maybe I could get used to that. Maybe I couldn't.
It's the most ambitious project since the dawn of the space era. And at $30 billion, it will also be the most expensive object ever made. The International Space Station, due to start construction in 1997, is our first major step towards colonising a new frontier. But how will humans survive in space? Mir is the world's longest-serving space station, in orbit since 1986. So when it comes to long-term living in space, the Russians on Mir are seen as the experts. Imagine spending 2 days in this. Well, that's how long it takes to get from here on Earth to Mir. The cabin's a little claustrophobic and the seating arrangement may cramp your style. Yet this tiny Soyuz capsule is one of the best and quickest ways to get launched into outer orbit. The Soyuz reaches outer orbit, that's 240 kilometres from Earth, in just under 9 minutes. Then it has to lock onto the orbiting Mir space station. Welcome to the second floor of the Soyuz capsule. Here we have the kitchen with a pantry. Now underneath these straps, the space food is normally secured to make sure it doesn't literally fly all over the place. There are cylinders down here to purify the oxygen, right there. Now, when you want to have a nap, you literally have to have it standing up. You get into a sack and then you secure yourself to one of these rails. So once again, you don't float all over the place. And last but not least is the most important room in the whole place, the bathroom. Many a cosmonaut has taken aim in the space toilet. This one here is for fluids and this one here is for solids. But inside the solids area goes this special solids bag, which fits over the top like this. It's pretty tricky. The lid comes off and on, and then it gets disposed of. So it normally works very well, I'm told, but if you're a novice, then be prepared for the unexpected. Simulators like this prepare cosmonauts for everything except weightlessness. Our survival in microgravity will be one of our biggest challenges. Russian space research has found the body undergoes radical changes in space. Bones weaken, muscles wither, the spine stretches, and your red blood cell count drops, causing the body to develop space anemia. The body's designed to function with gravity. Not only does it keep our feet firmly on the ground, it also forces our circulation into our lower limbs. Without gravity, blood quickly pools in our torso and head. So, to get around the problem, this very attractive vacuum suit has been designed to literally suck our blood into our legs. The cosmonauts become medical guinea pigs with regular urine, blood and heart tests to ensure early detection of potential problems for life in space. Weightlessness doesn't give our muscles much of a workout, so cosmonauts have to spend up to 6 hours a day exercising in gadgets like this one. You might have noticed that there's no proper seat and no wheels either, but apart from that, it rides just like a real racer. Psychological effects are just as important. Cosmonauts try to relax with reading or music. One aspect of Earth sorely missed is home cooking. At Star City, nutritional research continues the quest to find ideal space food. Learning to prepare, warm and hydrate the pre-prepared packages involves a few quick tips. This is the finest in space cuisine. Today for breakfast I'm going to enjoy some bean curd, a tin of yummy cheese, a bit of beef stew which is still warm, a sachet of coffee, look at that, and followed by some fruit. To start with, I'm going to try this stew, and apparently it's so sticky that even in space it won't leave the spoon. Here goes. Well, maybe I could get used to that. Maybe I couldn't. It's hard to imagine living like this in the outer reaches of space. But this research is vital preparation for the International Space Station, when Russia joins forces with 7 other countries, including the USA, Japan and Britain. It will take several years and at least 40 launches to assemble the space station, which will be the size of 2 football fields. It might not be everyone's idea of home, but our space pioneers will be pushing the boundaries of space and of human endurance.
Shortly on Beyond 2000, children take a trip into Starbright World.
I have cancer. I had. Not anymore.
You look too pretty to have cancer.
Thank you. I had cancer. Not anymore.
You look too pretty to have cancer.
Thank you.
Quincy and Isla are trialling a new virtual playground called Starbright World. They're both confined to hospital for lengthy periods. But here, sickness doesn't stop you meeting new friends. The two are linked via digital fibre optics. Quincy is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Isla is across the country at the Lucille Packard Hospital in California. The idea with the Starbright system is to give children back their childhoods in a way, to help them connect with friends, and down the line help reduce the anxieties associated with illness.
One of the kids said that it helped him because he kept asking the question why it had happened to him. And he hadn't found the answer, but after he talked to other kids, at least he knew that they had that same question too. And that was, again, it was sort of a sense of comfort and relief.
Teleconferencing is just one part of the Starbright system. Kids can also write messages to one another and play in 3 different make-believe worlds: Cave World, Sky World and Tropical World. Each child is represented by an icon they choose. They can click on any icon and play with the child behind it. The playground is designed as a rehabilitation tool and is even visited by the biggest kid of all, Steven Spielberg.
Hi.
And what's your name?
Vanessa.
And where are you right now?
By the castle.
Spielberg, who chooses E.T. as his icon in the playground, helped develop the Starbright system.
Well, I think it's great to keep it outdoors. Okay. And because these kids are in hospital. Yeah, so sure. The more we can show them outside, the more they're going to love it. This is what they don't have. So tell me about yourself.
I'm 13, and I have osteosarcoma.
Researchers believe that a child's state of mind can have a direct impact on his or her well-being. And playing in this virtual world encourages recovery and cuts down on the need for pain medication.
Yeah, I can walk. I can walk. I can walk, run, dance, you know. I can move pretty well, but having sickle cell, I get tired easily. I don't have the energy of a normal child.
I see.
You ride a bike and everything when you're able to walk?
Well, I can ride a bike, but I can't have a two-wheeler.
As Quincy says, there's a sense of common turf in this playground.
Meeting other kids in the hospital, knowing that there's other kids the same feelings you do, or maybe as bored as you are in the hospital.
Over the next couple of years, the impact of this system will be studied, looking at its influence on pain, anxiety, loneliness and depression. And that is good news.
I'm an outgoing person. I love to meet people.
Like most local radio stations, Radio Polar has talkback and weather spots. The host also warns his listeners of current ultraviolet radiation levels. Because this is southern Chile, the closest landmass to Antarctica, and a spreading hole in the ozone layer. That means the 100,000 people living here are exposed to increasingly high levels of UV radiation. And while we can rely on sophisticated weather forecasting technologies to tell us what's going to happen over the next few days, till now there's been no way of predicting fluctuations in ultraviolet radiation. But, like the weather, that's about to change. Researchers at the University of Magallanes are working with the British Antarctic Survey on a project which they hope will lead to a world first. Accurate forecasts of ultraviolet radiation levels at least 2 days ahead. Every 20 minutes, a United States weather satellite orbits over the southern hemisphere, sampling the Earth's atmosphere and giving a detailed readout of ozone concentrations. The information is downloaded and superimposed over a map of southern Chile. But simply measuring the thickness of the ozone layer doesn't allow you to predict the strength of ultraviolet rays. Other factors like temperature play a critical role. Well, now, researchers here at the Ozone and Ultraviolet Monitoring Station in southern Chile are working on a model which will take into account numerous variables like cloud cover and the angle at which solar radiation strikes the Earth, so that they can forecast accurately and reliably the levels of ultraviolet radiation 2 or even 3 days in advance. The data about solar radiation, temperature, cloudiness and total ozone amounts is turned into complex equations. And preliminary results suggest these could be more accurate than other similar models elsewhere in the world. If the Chilean research can give accurate forecasts of UV levels, that will offer a vital warning for millions of people around the world. With the protective layer of ozone thinning twice as fast as science has predicted, forecasting UV radiation could be critical to our life on Earth. Coming up next week on Beyond 2000, the gentle giant that's taking steps to save the forest.
A forester able to tiptoe through the woods, leaving few traces of its tracks.
Plus, what to do if you're a snowboarder without snow.
Yeah! Go, 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 go!
And the electronic eye ensuring the elderly are never home alone. They're just some of the stories next time we venture beyond 2000. Bye for now.
For the first time on television, one of the greatest actors of our time, Al Pacino, stars in the role that won him an Oscar, with Batman's Chris O'Donnell, Scent of a Woman. A